Welcome to another edition of It's Still Real to Me, always brought to us by the title sponsor of Zaslow Show 2.0. Of course, I'm talking about Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you're involved in an accident, if you got a personal injury, doesn't matter what kind, it could be a car accident, motorcycle, slip and fall. You want to get taken care of, you call 911 first, then you get an attorney on the phone immediately. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. I send you to Anidjar and Levine because they're going to treat you like family, all right? And that's the kind of care you need when you're dealing with a personal injury. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. My pal, of course, is Joey Levin, joining us here every weekend for It's Still Real to Me, where we get you caught up on all the big stories in the world of pro wrestling. We are a week away from a really awesome pro wrestling weekend where Saturday night, and both cards are shaping up. Saturday night, we got WWE Premium Live Event Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia. And then on Sunday, we got AEW. Is it Double or Nothing? Double or Nothing. I get the names confused. Double or Nothing. Do you think there was any type of, I mean, they're not coordinated with each other, obviously, but one of them was booked first, and then the other one was just like, all right, well, we don't want to do it the same night. Like, there had to have been something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to think, well, AEW's been doing their shows on Sundays, right? So I think it may have just, like, happened to work. I think so. I think so. Wasn't the last one the MJF, Bryan Danielson?
It was, but, like, I don't feel like it's always been Sundays.
Oh, yeah, that I don't know. I actually think in the beginning it was on Saturdays, but maybe they moved to Sundays because WWE moved to Saturday.
Why? We've been screaming for years for WWE, you got to move to Saturday. They finally do. And AEW's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the day that nobody wants. We're going to do Sundays.
Yeah. It's strange, too, and it's like, I don't even remember how this came about that WWE had two pay-per-views this month. Like, it hasn't always been this way, right? Didn't it? Has it always been where Night of Champions wasn't always the same,
right?
The month after WrestleMania, so it's kind of strange that it's even happening this weekend either way.
Right, but you know what happens sometimes with WWE leading up to like the really big pay-per-views like SummerSlam? I've noticed they'll sometimes double up before it, and then you have like 5 or 6 weeks leading up to the huge like you'll go a month kind of without a pay-per-view and then lead into the huge one, which kind of feels like maybe what they're doing with SummerSlam, because you get a ton of time to build up. And, you know, they put out the SummerSlam Heat Wave tour, gives them a lot of time to tour with the live shows.
Right.
Like they're coming down here. I don't know if you noticed, I didn't see any house shows that were lined up. But on this Heat Wave tour for SummerSlam, Raw and SmackDown are coming both to Tampa and Orlando in July, maybe. Not Miami, because we know, like I've told you, Miami, it's the worst pro wrestling crowd, Miami.
Yeah.
They're skipping Miami altogether. They're going Tampa and Orlando, which are great pro wrestling crowds.
Yeah, that Dynamite crowd, the Dynamite that we went to, not a good crowd. Not a good crowd.
And every time they're here, not only is it not a good crowd, but it's only the lower level. You go on right now. If you were to go right now because tickets are on sale for SmackDown and Raw, Tampa and Orlando in July. You go on right now, almost the entire building, including the upper deck, is almost completely sold out.
I wonder what that is. What do you think that is? Is that just South Florida in general? Is that like, I mean, obviously, like for sports, Heat games get busy, but if the Heat are bad, it's not going to be full, right? And if the Dolphins are bad, it's not going to be full, and no one goes to Marlins games. Like, is it just a South Florida thing?
I don't have a good answer to it. Obviously, Central Florida is a hotbed for pro wrestling. So many of the wrestlers live there. You got the Performance Center there in Winter Park. Like, obviously, that area is hot. Tampa's always, like, Hogan is Tampa. Like, Orlando, Tampa has always been a super hotbed for pro wrestling. But, like, why does Miami suck for pro wrestling?
Well, because also, you're talking about that, but then like we had, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name from CCW.
Yeah, Nelio. Yeah.
When we had Nelio on, we talked about South Florida has a history of professional wrestling. Like back in the day, South Florida championship, like Florida Championship Wrestling was down here.
Which, if you
There's a
see
big
that
deal
LEO
down
and
here.
CCW have brought back Florida Championship Wrestling.
Right. I mean, like it was a big deal down here, so it's weird that people don't care. It's probably a South Florida thing. I don't know. It's events in general down here. Unless it's like a big event, unless like people are all of a sudden into car racing and or tennis matches, then people aren't going to show up to it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. So anyway,
but you know what's weird, Zaz? I was thinking about this. There's so much wrestling content right now. Like there's so much week to week that we have to watch and follow.
Yeah.
And then all the rumors and all this shit. Doesn't it seem like Backlash was like 2 months ago?
Right. It does seem like it was a while ago.
Like the internet was on fire with like Bad Bunny and his entrance and all of it. And it was hot. Like everyone was listening to Chambea for a week straight. And now it's like, it feels like it was last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it was a while ago. Yeah,
it's crazy.
So let's start out with both shows are both promotions, both the big promotions are setting up their big events next weekend, which I think are both shaping up to be really fun cards. So let's start out with WWE. We may as well start out with Raw. I thought there was a lot more action on SmackDown last night. SmackDown I thought was great. On Raw, as far as things that stood out to us, first thing that comes to mind for you on Monday night. I mean, for me, like, Judgment Day just still being at the center of everything, I think is so great. Like, it's pretty amazing how far Judgment Day has come. I love everything that they're involved in every Monday night. And it does seem like they're teasing, what's his name? Devlin, JD McDonough.
JD McDonough, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did it. They did the tease. Well, they did some kind of tease.
Yeah.
And what I love about the way Triple H does his teases is he's not like trying to hide it. It's very blatant what he's doing. Like,
I love the idea of him joining. I think it's cool.
But like Finn, like the backstage interview, and then Finn Balor just pops out. Like there's no.
Yeah.
It's not even like an Easter egg anymore. It's like we're showing you what we're headed towards.
Whether
it's him joining or him fighting Finn, but I think it's him joining, right?
Yeah. Do we think he's gonna are they gonna recruit him all of a sudden? They're like, we love your style, how do you think that's gonna go down?
Well, I think it could go a couple ways. I mean, I remember I said for a long time, well, not for a long time, but I said a while ago, maybe a couple months ago now, that I thought we were getting to the point where Finn had to be out of Judgment Day.
Yeah, you don't still feel that way, do you?
And be on his own. Well, I think Finn is bigger than, I think he is I know Rhea's huge and and she's great. I think Finn is a different level. I think he's on the top tier of stars in professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a world where, Edge started the Judgment Day and the young guys got sick of Edge and the younger guys got rid of Edge. I think there's a world where the Irish ace, JD McDonough, who the young Irish superstar comes in and maybe joins, and then they take out Finn, and then Finn goes on to do his own thing, or maybe him and Finn feud. I don't know. I think there's a bunch of different ways you could go here because it would be really easy to just have him join and have a fourth member, but also like him and Finn there's a history there. I'm pretty sure Finn trained JD McDonough in Ireland too.
I want them just to add him and let Finn have another, Irish guy, and they just
who can take over and kick him out at some point.
Maybe at some point, but for now, just have another Irish guy and they kick ass together.
He's the Irish ace. But don't you think, like, to me, it's like if I'm Finn and I have a guy on my team who's calling himself the Irish ace, I'm like, hey, whoa, I'm
maybe
the
at
Irish
some
ace.
point, maybe down the road, maybe at some point. I do want to point out though, we had a battle royal on Monday night. I love battle royals. I love battle royals. So it's who's going to face
Gunther, and Night of Champions.
And Night of Champions, cool. I think it's cool as hell that Mustafa Ali won. Like, you get a nice little treat there. It's a nice surprise. We're at the place now, Night of Champions. Like, Gunther's not anywhere close to losing. You got to feed someone to him. So let's see something new, and let's give Mustafa. And I'll tell you, look, I say this every time. Oh my God, this match is great. This match is great every single time. Yeah, the match is great every single time because Gunther's magic, man. Whoever you put in the ring with him, it's going to be an incredible match. and Mustafa Ali can go, man. Like that match is gonna be fun as hell.
Well, I was going to say, I think you could make a similar case that anybody you put in the ring with Mustafa Ali, it has a great match. Like he's incredible, and he's just been. First of all, when he first came in, he didn't really have much of a personality, so it took a while for people to really care about him. And then, just like the Maximum Male Models, just like my guy Dijak, they've all, just like Mia Yim, they've all been trying for a long time now to just finally wash away the stink of retribution.
Yeah.
And this is finally, it seems like Ali, this is like him finally getting that stink off of him and being like, all right, I can be some type of player in this. He's never going to be a world champion. He may not ever win a title, but he can be involved in these kind of storylines because he's good. And actually, this gimmick is kind of funny. Positive Ali, like that's his thing. His gimmick is that he's positive and he's positive Ali, positively. Like that's his gimmick. It's kind of funny. It's pretty.
You know what else I noticed there? So Von Wagner, he's on Raw now. Like I guess he was drafted. I didn't realize. Just all of a sudden, Wagner's there.
No, Von Wagner's a free agent. Von Wagner can go to either show. Yeah.
Okay.
Von Wagner's.
All right. So he's like, hey, there's a battle royal. I want in on that. I'm a free agent. Let's get in.
Exactly. Okay. I think Mr. wasn't. I think in NXT, Mr. Stone was his manager, Robert Stone. So I think maybe Mr. Stone, maybe Mr. Robert Stone negotiated a deal for him to be a free agent. Maybe that's
okay. All right,
but I'm good with Ali. You know what? I like the Ali thing. I like him being involved with Gunther. You know, it seems. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about how long Roman's going to have the titles.
Forever.
It feels like Gunther could have the Intercontinental title forever. So people got to fight him. Like they got to come up with ideas here.
Well, so right, so it would appear they're dead set on Roman Reigns surpassing the all-time record, which is it Bruno Sammartino?
I don't know about the all-time. I know Hogan for sure is what I think is what it seems like, because Hogan's is like
Hogan was from pre-WrestleMania 1 all the way to right before WrestleMania 4.
Hogan was like 1,400 days or something like that, but Bruno was like 7 years or something. I think Bruno's was like, I think it was something insane, like I don't think it's beatable. I don't in the modern era. I don't think.
We got anything to say about superstar Billy Graham? He passed away a few days ago. I mean, for me, obviously, certainly ahead of your time, and for me, like just ahead of my time as well. But for me, anytime I think of, and I know superstar Billy Graham over the last few years really said some kind of wacky stuff, every now and then. But as far as like when I think of superstar Billy Graham, I always think about those odd color commentary appearances he would have in the early days of WWF. Holy shit, were those shows funny, man? That's what I think of when I think of superstar.
Honestly, I mean, it's I know his impact in the industry, and I know he inspired probably a lot. He inspired probably a lot of what we watched growing up, like the wrestlers that you ended up watching, and then that I ended up watching as a kid. Other than that, I don't know. I didn't. Yeah. He's way before my time. But. Sad for the industry, but I think I've seen a lot of good tributes. So, I know everybody respected him a lot. So, it's,
what I'd like to point out, though, as
I have Bruno's record, by the way, 2,803 days.
I mean, that's like 7 years.
Yeah. So
okay, I hope we don't get there. It's a little too long. I hope we don't get there. So I do want to mention here, and this was especially apparent on SmackDown last night. I can't remember. I think it's been a really long time, if maybe ever, where so quickly the NXT call-ups, I feel, are so relevant, so quick on the main brands. And especially last night, like, I don't feel that I'm being force-fed them. I feel like they fit. Like, I'm watching Pretty Deadly last night.
They're awesome. They're so fun.
Obviously going to be a really big deal. All right. Yeah. Like the finish to that match last night was so perfect. Really good shit. Yeah. They're clearly going to be great. And then I see, they do the Grayson Waller effect, debut of Grayson Waller effect. And I'm like, yeah, he fits in really well also. And then you got Fire and Dawn last night as well, who totally look like they belong on the main roster. Like the NXT
I would put
clubs have infused a really good energy, I feel, on the main roster.
I would put the women's tag titles on them now.
Well, you know what? I hate when they do that because
I know, but the women's tag titles is just it's cursed. They need a tag team, like a real tag team. Not a thrown together whatever.
I hate when you got the new hot star or stars and they crown them right away. Like I just so prefer the build to it. It just means so much more. And then the one with me, that the one I always go back to is when Bayley was originally called up to the main roster. Bayley won the women's championship so fast. And it's like, it meant nothing. When she was in NXT, it took her years to finally beat Sasha Banks at what I think is the greatest women's match, at least NXT, that I've ever seen. And it was an amazing crowning achievement moment. And Bayley got called to the main roster, and they gave her that belt fast, man. It's like, it didn't have the meaning. I hate when they crown them right away. I get what you're saying. Fire and Dawn are clearly really good, and they're a legit tag team.
I mean, I'm just like, I texted you that I think the women's tag titles from the very beginning have just been sort of like on the main roster have been cursed. There's just, it's never been good. It's never been relevant. And now with the Liv's injured, so they have to relinquish the titles, and there's going to be
so they're going to have a 4-way. It's at Night of Champions.
No, it's next week on
Raw. It's on Friday. I think it's on Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, I think it's on Friday.
Is it on Friday or is it next week? I think it's next week on Raw.
Oh, you know what? You're right, because all the other participants are Raw stars. You're right. It is going to be on Raw.
Yeah, and then there's going to be a surprise tag partner for Raquel.
So who could that be?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It just, my point is like since the beginning, these titles
better not be Lita. Tell you what.
I don't know.
Are they so obviously putting them on
Nia Jax?
Are they so obviously putting it on Ronda and Shayna?
No, I didn't even put this in Big Dirt because I don't care that much. But I was reading that Ronda's taking time off.
Okay.
Are they even in the match?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see who the competitor. Who's in the match? I didn't.
It's Ronda and Shayna, Raquel and a mystery partner, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville.
They got to get it. I mean, it's got to be them.
And Io and Bayley.
Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. It's got to be that. It's got to be Sonya and Chelsea Green. I mean, I love them. You want to make that thing, that those belts matter. Let those two walk around backstage with the belts and just talk shit to people. I mean, that would be fun. Yeah, that would be fun. And they're great heels. Like I think you could do some stuff with them. But yes, it has seemed for a while like it's going to be Shayna and Ronda, but I don't know. I mean, they
like that Shayna and Ronda had so much promise to them, mainly because we all wanted to result in Shayna being elevated to exactly where she belongs, and it's just like they can't get off the ground. Yeah.
No, it's tough. I think time off for Ronda is the right move here.
And let Shayna do her thing.
Yeah, put her in the title picture.
Dude, remember Shayna? It was only a couple years ago. She was in the Elimination Chamber and eliminated everyone. And look where we are. Like, we can't get her off the ground now.
I wouldn't mind a Shayna Bianca thing after we get done with this Asuka stuff again.
Yeah,
for the second time in a row.
Like, how is Shayna Baszler not in the women's main event picture every week?
No, I agree.
She carried that NXT women's division for like 2 years.
I agree. Oh, no, she's in the top. I mean, she's on that list of top 4 or 5 best NXT champions ever, right?
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Easily.
And it's because she's because
she looks like a champion.
She looks like a champion, and she's also a legit real life badass. Like, not that Ronda Rousey isn't, but there's just been this uneasy feeling from wrestling fans since Ronda Rousey showed up. Like, Shayna Baszler went and did the NXT thing, and you could tell she loves the industry and she loves what she's doing, and she didn't come in like, oh, I'm something, whatever.
Ronda, she worked her way, man. Like, I remember I was at an NXT live show in like West Palm years ago. And all of a sudden, Shayna Baszler came down the engine like, oh shit, that's Shayna Baszler.
Oh yeah, we might have been. I might have been there too.
Maybe
I mean,
it was like 5, 6 years, 7 years ago. Like,
yes,
whoa, that's Shayna Baszler.
And I think she fought against at the one I was at. It was against Kairi Sane.
I don't remember.
She came out with the other two horsewomen, the two who aren't around anymore, Marina Shafir and the tall blonde one,
Duke.
Jessamine Duke. And the main event was Riddle versus Velveteen Dream.
I may have been there.
Street Profits fought on that. And I remember because I have a photo in my phone because Montez Ford, it was the first time I saw someone wrestling Jordans. I was like, he's wearing red Jordans. I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? Now they all wrestling Jordans. Yeah, that was a great show. Yeah.
So yeah, the NXT call-ups I think have been fantastic so far.
Cameron Grimes burying Baron Corbin.
Well, everyone saw that coming. That was so easy to see. They've been great. Were you happy? Are you happy with what they're doing with LA Knight? We got LA Knight's feud now. He's going to mess around with Boogs for the next couple of weeks. I'm into it, man. Boogs has got personality. I'm cool with it. I'm all right with it.
I love Boogs. Yeah. I'm a big. I love everything about. I love Rick Boogs is the perfect lifetime mid card guy.
Yeah,
he's fun.
And I need LA Knight to get some wins. Like, good, mess around with Boogs, get some wins. Let's go.
And people love Boogs. And if you have to force the LA Knight is a heel thing, have him feud with somebody that everybody loves.
Yep.
Because everybody loves LA Knight. They're not going to boo him, but at least maybe now if he tortures Boogs a little bit, maybe they'll boo him and that gets him in as a heel.
Yep.
I'm fine with it, especially because it does feel like it's going to lead to something bigger. There's something big coming. I think he's going to be, I don't know about winning, but he'll be in the match, I think.
Yeah. Better be.
Yeah. So
I
don't mind it. I don't mind it. Yep.
Let me ask you here what's going on with AJ Styles. We both agree, right?
Very strange SmackDown for AJ.
Really strange. Yeah. We both agree that Seth Rollins is winning the world title. I mean, AJ could win, but
I got some stuff on in Big Dirt.
Okay.
About that, but yes, it seems that way.
So AJ is on Grayson Waller effect. Okay, and it's kind of like, all right, so if AJ doesn't beat Seth, we may be setting up for a little bit of a showdown between AJ Styles and Grayson Waller. That's fine. And then later on in the show,
almost instantly, almost like the next commercial break. It was so weird.
Karrion Kross wants a piece of AJ Styles now. So
he wants a piece of Alan.
Yeah, of Alan Joseph. Yeah. So I don't understand what's going on with AJ Styles.
Well, you know what? I don't think the problem is AJ. Not problem. I don't think it's an AJ thing because I think it's very clear. You do something with Grayson Waller and AJ because Grayson is the upside for Grayson Waller is absolute star. This guy is going to be big. He's got it. I mean, that Grayson Waller effect wasn't the best. I've seen him do much better work. This is his first time on SmackDown, and they're putting him in the ring with AJ, who's about to fight.
Not a great talker, and he's not a great talker, AJ.
But it just, I think it's a sign of what they feel about Grayson Waller. His debut on SmackDown
is right next to AJ Styles.
Being in the ring with AJ.
Yeah,
I think the question here is, I think the thing here is that they just can't figure out what the fuck to do with Karrion Kross.
Yeah,
I mean, he has just been a complete and utter bust. I think he's got to lose I've seen some interviews with him. He's a funny guy. He does good impressions. He's a big, good looking dude. Let's change up the gimmick. This whole TikTok doomsday thing, it's not working. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And every time it's I'm going to take Nakamura's honor. I'm going to take Rey Mysterio's.
But he never does.
And now he's inexplicably just going after AJ. Just change the gimmick. There was a couple weeks where he came to the ring wearing slacks and a long sleeve or a short sleeve flower button up, where he looked almost like a Razor Ramon type of outfit. I was like, okay, there's something here. This outfit, he's a little more of a slimy dude, not necessarily this doomsday thing. Something funny could work, but this backstage with the tarot cards, and then you have Scarlett just staring at him. It's just it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work.
Let's talk about the main story from yesterday. And that, of course, was the opening segment and the closing segment. So we all knew the Usos were going to lose. They're in a downward spiral right now. And so they lose to Latino World Order. Great. The story, though, is the start of the show. So the start of the show, you got Roman. He's angry, obviously, because the Usos come in and they interrupt his plan. He had something to say to Sami Zayn, and they come in and they jump Sami and they jump KO. And Roman's mad because he's the quarterback and he calls the plays and he didn't call that play. And then on the way out, he bumps into Solo. You got Solo who doesn't appreciate that. And Roman's kind of, whoa, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And Roman leaves on his own.
Blustered. Like nervous that he bumped into. He was shook. Yeah.
He was shook. And the end of the show, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but like, you got Solo and Roman who are watching the end of the match in their locker room. The Usos lose. The cameras go to them in the locker room. And like, they're not mic'd up. You couldn't hear anything they were saying. Now, I know Solo said, I'm going to fix this. And as he's getting up, Roman stops him. But then Roman says something clearly of consequence. I have no idea what Roman said. Was that on purpose? Like, was it supposed to be where we don't know what he was said, or did they fuck up there? Because I don't know what he said.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm in the same boat. I don't know what. I don't know if
it may have been on purpose, but I'd like to know what he said.
Yeah, no, I haven't even seen anything about that, so I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was unintentional, because they had some issues last week with Fox where I forgot who it was in the ring, was talking. And because the crowd was chanting and chant was a curse, they had to bleep out the sound, and we missed. Yeah. It was with Jey Uso, I think, when he was about to say something and the crowd was cursing and they had to bleep it out. I don't know if Fox did something there again. I don't think it was a crowd thing, so I don't know.
No, I don't think it was a crowd thing either. It's almost as if just like the levels weren't up, like the levels were low, and like I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from all of it is, like, we have, like, right at this point, it just feels like there's WWE and then there's the Bloodline. Like, the Bloodline is just, for the next year, it feels like the Bloodline could be just independent of everybody else from WWE right now.
And I mean, look, they're throwing out these Easter eggs too, like this, where like Solo turning on Roman. They're not breaking up. They're not going anywhere. It's the same way that they're not taking the title off Roman and giving it to Cody, because why are they going to end a good thing? They're not breaking up the Bloodline. They're not going to end a good thing.
Well, also, it sounds like Roman may not defend the title for another couple months, because the rumor is that it's going to be Roman and Solo versus the Usos at Money in the Bank.
Maybe there will be some type of dissension.
Yeah.
Which leads to Roman, like, going away. And then in a couple months or whatever, he comes back and you don't know what his reaction is going to be, but it's, the Bloodline is as strong as ever,
Yeah. It feels like it's going to be them, it feels like it's going to be Roman and Solo versus the Usos for a while. I think all the way till like SummerSlam. I think it might be Roman Jay at SummerSlam. I don't know. It just feels like
that's what we were hoping after WrestleMania. Can we get to SummerSlam with Roman versus Jay?
Yeah, but then I think past that, I think what we saw last night was, like you said, they're laying the foundation for Roman versus Solo at some point.
Some point. Way down the road.
I guess, but
I look at the end of the show, like, Solo said to Roman, I'm going to fix this. Like, Solo's on board still. Like, he's Roman's guy. He didn't like Roman bumping him there, but he's still all about the Bloodline.
Well, okay, but here we go. But this is the Solo question. This is always the question with Solo. Is he Roman's guy, or is he the Bloodline's guy?
I think he's the Bloodline's guy.
Is he the elder, or is he the Elder's guy?
Yeah, I think he's the Bloodline's guy.
Right, that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, he's going to fix it, but but that doesn't necessarily mean he wants to fix it because Roman wants him to fix it. It's because he cares about his family and he wants to fix. He wants the Bloodline to be good.
Yeah.
Which means, I don't know what it means ultimately, but it means, I think it's interesting how much they have really elevated Solo over the last since Mania. Basically,
Yep.
he is like, I mean, he's like the center of everything with Bloodline right now. Like
Yeah, well,
quietly,
because you've been doing this Bloodline story for a couple of years, and he's fresh. He's a fresh
yeah,
center point of a story. You know,
yeah.
you've had Jay be the centerpiece. You've had Sammy be the centerpiece. And those stories are done. And now it's like, all right, we got this guy Solo. Let's make him the centerpiece now. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool.
But what do you make of them? I mean, I know obviously we know what it is. It's like Solo's the enforcer. You don't want to mess with Solo. Is it like, isn't it interesting that you have this guy that they're positioning as the most dominant champion in history, and he's like scared of his own enforcer?
I like it. I'm good with it.
It's yeah, I think it's interesting. It's just fun.
I like it.
I was not expecting. I expected at some point there to be like something where Solo is not happy with Roman for the way he's treating the Usos. Like that's where I thought it was headed. Not like
we'll get there eventually. We are going to get there.
Well, I just like it just shows like you never know with this Bloodline story. Yep. I never expected that the beginning of the dissension between Solo and Roman would be Solo getting mad that Roman bumped him. I didn't think that's where this was all going to start. Like the Roman, because Roman's reaction was everything to me at that point.
Totally
like
shook.
His reaction that like nervous that he bumped.
I think it's gonna. You know what? I think they're gonna do that now. Like I think that was the first. Like maybe in their tag matchup at Night of Champions,
I think Solo gets the pin.
Like no, but I'm saying like maybe he spears Solo because someone moves out the way. You know, I think it's the beginning of him
or
doing that.
Or is it, Roman, like the Usos get the best of Roman and Solo takes care of business? Because Solo always takes care of business, right? That's what Solo always takes care of business. That's the whole thing, right? Solo always does. Maybe it's Solo gets the win. Solo saves Roman, and Roman now is even more scared of Solo and even more nervous. Like, maybe he's am I the guy or is he the guy? Like, what? Who's the guy? If I can't get the win, if he's getting the win because I couldn't get the win,
they're gonna win. They're gonna win next weekend, right?
They have to. Wait, you mean in the tag titles?
Yeah.
Roman and Solo?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I do.
No, I think they're going to lose, and then they're going to fight the Usos at Money in the Bank.
Does it not make
you think that they're going to have Roman walk around with 4 belts?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just going for nuclear heat here, man. Like, what's the future of KO? Like, what's the long-term plan for KO and Sammy as tag champions? There's no long-term outline there. They're going to be tag team champions and defend against all comers. There's no long-term story there. They're singles competitors, those guys. There's a long-term story by giving Roman more belts. I don't think there's a long-term future with KO and Sammy in the tag team division. They could stay friends, but in the tag division, there's no long-term plan there. I think you got a lot to work with if you give Roman more belts. I think they're winning.
Do you?
Yep.
Well, but then, but okay.
If Sammy and KO retain, where do they go?
Judgment Day, Imperium, like that. That's what. Isn't that what was sort of? Isn't that what was kind of like teased?
Well, they're fighting Imperium this week. They are, but not for the titles.
Right, I know, but and then Finn, they came in and confronted him and said, once you're done with Roman and Solo, if you get past them, we'll be here waiting.
I don't think there's a long term. I don't think there's a future with those guys in the tag division.
Yeah, but I think I guess not. But like, if you keep them together, but then okay. So the question is, I guess my question would be, if you take the belts off them now, what do you do with those guys? If you take the belts,
well, I'll tell you what, I would love to see KO and Solo. Can we feud? Like they teased that last night.
I know, but so you're gonna take we're gonna take the belts off of KO and Sammy, but then still have them do more with the Bloodline? I think they're done with the Bloodline.
I don't know. I don't think they have to be done with the Bloodline. I don't think they have to be.
I don't know. I mean, If they lose, well, obviously, if they lose, then they're not done. But I think if they win, then they can just move on to other tag teams until they lose. Like they don't have to lose to these guys to move on from the tag division. There are. I feel like a lot of tag teams that would be fun for them to
like for me, the only thing interesting about Sammy and KO being a tag team is feuding with the Bloodline.
Yeah, but also didn't. Am I confused? Where did Sammy and KO get drafted?
Yeah,
did they get drafted to Raw?
I can't keep track of that shit.
Is the draft over already? Like, are we done with the draft already?
Well, they're still like free agents. I don't know.
Doesn't it feel like the draft's done, right? Like, because I think Sammy and KO got drafted to Raw, and the Bloodline's on SmackDown, but Sammy and KO have been on SmackDown. I guess because
they're the tag team. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, the draft really mattered a lot.
I can't keep track of that.
I don't know who. Yeah, I don't get it anymore either. But we'll make our picks at some point. But I'm gonna say I think Sammy and KO keep the titles.